Recording. All right, so just to reiterate what I said in my email, I totally appreciate everything that you're doing, testing possible, because honestly, we have no way of testing unless we have adults and professionals to help us give the test. So I really appreciate it. I know it's not anything that anyone would throw their hands up in the air and say, please, please pick me for testing. But it is something that we're offering to the students. And I think in the big picture, I'm glad we are. I think it makes everyone feel like this year is just a smidge more normal than it is. It's not a normal year, and this maybe it'll help us feel a little bit more like it's business as usual. So if you've never done testing before, or if you haven't done testing in a while, each one of the coordinators will get this manual. And this was in the link to that last email that I sent. If you were someone that wanted to read ahead, this is the same documentation. It is overwhelming. There is a lot to it. So what I've done is I've created a Cliff Notes version of testing so that what you read when you're giving the test is exactly what you need to know, and you don't have to follow the roadmap given in this document, because there's a lot of different what they call timing codes, and for students, especially in an accommodated room, they have to follow a certain script. So what I do is I pull out just the script that you have to have, and then you don't have to figure out which one and follow along in that way. So you will have a Cliff Notes version. Inside this book, what I do is I just kind of stick it in there, because every once in a while you do have something that you kind of need to look up in the actual manual, because there's something that isn't in the script, meaning it might say, look at page 56 for how to dismiss students out of the room, and then you would need the manual for it. But in general, you just need the Cliff Notes version, but you will have a full copy of it with you. I was just actually kind of troubleshooting about how to let students into the room. And I think what I'm going to do is create a roster for you that has their pictures so that you know who they are. And when they come see you, they may have been a student at JMS, but not necessarily. So hopefully with that little ID tag that I can give you printed, you'll know exactly who it is that you're looking for. Once we get into testing, all of the boxes for each of the rooms will have answer documents, another visual aid, for each student. It is different than in a lot of years. If you've ever done testing before, we don't have any labels. So students, when they bubble, it is the only identifying information that we will have for those students. There's no barcodes on them. And there's 20 different things that it asks for, but in your instructions, it's only going to have you fill out 8 of them. It'll have you skip items 9 through 20. Those are optional items, and I know that in the script each time that there's an instruction, but that's not what the way that we're doing it. We're going to skip it just to kind of make it a little easier and make the day go as quickly as possible. So instead of spending time having students filling out their address, it's tied to their UIC number, their student number, so we don't have to have them fill out their address. We will get their scores and from that code. So Jen Zaborowski is the administrator for the virtual program, and she has said it's optional. We are not doing it just to save time and energy in that part of it. Any questions so far? Okay, so there's some pretty standard things for testing. One of them is which we try to make it the same for every student in the entire country to test in the same format. This year, like everything else, is pretty unique in that they're going to be testing in a building that they've potentially never even been to. So there are some codes that they need. I will give you a poster to put in your room that will show the codes that they need to enter and how they need to enter it. You may have students that have questions that you can't answer as far as the technical part of testing. I'll be what's called a rover. So I'll be in the hallways if you have something that comes up and you don't know how to answer the question. So just know that I'll be there to support you if there is something that comes about. Jake, I have not had the training that I hope to get in order to do the audio portion for students that have accommodated testing with audio.
I was emailing with Jen earlier about it. She's still working
Okay.
with Percy Ventimiglia and with Mark Mullins to figure out how we're going to do it. But once that is figured out, they'll share it with me.
Okay, perfect. All right. Has anybody else done the audio part? I know, Jake, you said you've set it up or we're starting to set it up before.
I had set it up before just using the flash drives, but since it's no longer on those USBs, I don't know what we're doing with it.
Okay, yeah. I saw in the instructions that it's like a step-by-step and you put a certain code in, but I haven't actually done it, so it's hard to kind of picture it until we've actually done it.
Right.
Kind of in the unique situation that we'll be in a separate building from the actual people that will know how to do it.
Well, where is, I feel like Lauren Leha was a point person for that kind of stuff previously.
She was last year, but we never actually did the testing.
Right, exactly. So I don't know if maybe, will she be here or will she be over at the high school?
On that day, I'm not sure, but we could ask her to support us on that day. I'll ask her.
Yeah, if she can just like let us know how it works, I guess.
Yeah.
Or we'll just
at minimum we can get
from Jen and Mark.
We can get everybody's cell phone number too, minimum, to text them if we come up with something that, I think you have 8 in your room, so.
That sounds right.
A little helpful. Now, when he comes, will you be there when Mark puts it on your computer?
It depends on when he comes.
Okay, because I would prefer that they spread them out in the room.
Yeah.
Not just for cheating types of things, but for.
Yeah, well, I've got every other desktop in here marked off anyway.
Okay. All right.
And if there's 8, we could put them in one row, or we could just do 4 in each and have 4 in one row, 4 in the other. It doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. And then Joanne and Teresa, you are you're in the room with Emily in the big room, and Emily gets the wonderful task of reading the script, and then you would assist her when it says, hand them out, and then also to walk around and make sure that they're filling out the right items when it's given as a verbal instruction. Sometimes students miss that and they need a little bit of help in making sure that they all stay on the same track. I anticipate that we might not have every student show up like we typically do for testing. I mean, usually our attendance for testing is pretty spot on. We don't have very many absences, but I'm sort of anticipating that we won't have a super awesome attendance for that day. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. Any questions so far? All right. So what I will do is when I get the script, I know I like to have things in advance and not get them on the very same day that I'm supposed to be doing it. So what I'll do is when I finish the script, I will put the coordinator manuals and the scripts in, well, maybe I'll just come drop them off and make sure that you get them by the end of this week, so that if you want to look through it and kind of see what you're up against or what you will be doing. And then if you have questions before that day, just reach out to me and let me know what questions you might have. Some of the information is pretty helpful as far as you want to make sure that you are keeping everything as quiet as possible, what to do if a student asks you a question. All those types of things are spelled out in the manual, and it's at the very beginning of the script that I give you, not the script that you read to the students, but it's like in general for testing what you need to make sure that you do and have available for students. One thing I didn't think about is your bells. Emily, do you typically who turns your bells off in your building?
I contacted Denise Lipset. I think she, either can do it herself or she can call over to Central and have them do it. I don't remember exactly how it gets
How
done.
they do it. Okay, yeah, because we would want the bell schedule or the bells to be turned off. I don't think there is a telephone in your gym, but if you're in a room or testing in a room that does have a telephone, you're supposed to have that muted or off. Your entire focus, this is why most people don't really enjoy testing. I'll just give you the bad news is that you really have to be completely focused on testing the entire time that you're in there. And it can be kind of tedious and boring. So you can read the manual and you can keep reading that manual and you will know that manual inside and out. But no laptops, no chat, chatting on your phone or anything like that. You can have your cell phone in the room for timing purposes, but you really have to make sure that your focus is just on testing. And mostly for that reason is because of timing, and you have to make sure that, this is a national test, that the students get the same amount of minutes in Michigan as they got in Florida and as they got every place else to make everything fair. So the reason they don't want any distractions is that if you were reading a book, you might forget that, oh, wait, they were supposed to stop 2 minutes ago because, that was the end of that portion of the test. Some of the timing is different than the standard room. I know the Jake's timing is a little bit different. Tracy, your timing is a little different than the other ones, and that'll be in the manual. I do know that we can be compensated for this time today, and I'm sure that you guys probably will rewatch this recording and probably spend at least an hour rewatching this recording to make sure that you get it all correct. And also, I'm sure you will read the manual or parts of it to make sure you're on track with any questions that you have. So an hour, I am positive it will be an hour that each of you will spend on those types of activities. Any questions so far? No. All right. As testing goes, we've already done the SAT testing for the students at Lakeview High School this year. It is sort of like by the seat of our pants that we're even doing this testing. So compared to many years, it's a little more, just we are doing our absolute best we can. And if something goes awry, we are all there for each other and supporting each other and just understand that it's not a typical situation. So I hope that the students that we have coming are excited to take the exam and we'll have a good day. As excited as ninth graders can be about taking a PSAT test. Anything else? All right, so you can expect to get the manual with the script prior to testing by the end of this week is my goal. So hopefully you'll have that. As you read through it, if you have questions about that day, just reach out via email, or my extension is 2706 if you want to give me a call. Probably in my email, I'll also send you my cell phone number, because on the day of testing, even though it's a smaller group, we are a little bit spread out. It's a lot easier to just text me if you have a question. If there's an issue or something like that. We have a student, if you're the only person in a room with one student and that student doesn't show up, I don't know what we'll do with that yet, but it's a possibility. We may have you help out in one of the other rooms. I know, Jake, I would prefer you had 2 people with you, but we just didn't have anybody extra. So maybe if there's one of those rooms where somebody doesn't show up and we don't need them, we'll put them in with you, because I know the technology is a whole separate part from actually giving the test. So I would prefer to have somebody extra with you if we have an extra person.
That would be nice if we do.
Yeah, I know it's a lot. And then there's always, something that happens and, it'd be helpful. So that actually, now that I think that through, I think that'll be my goal, is to put somebody extra with you. All right. Well, that was super quick. If anything else comes up, more than likely I'll email you. And if anything comes up for you, please email me.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Bye.